Good evening, and welcome to the latest happenings inside our federal machine.
It's Wednesday, December 17th, 2025. This is Faith on with another episode of The Swamp. President Trump is due to address the nation tonight at 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will be waiting for the president to go live with his announcement. And the soldiers who were killed in the line of duty while serving our country in Syria were brought home today, and the respects were paid by the president himself, among others. Today, the House of Representatives put a vote to the Lower Healthcare Premiums for All Americans Act, which is one of the Republicans' answers to the failing Obamacare system, and the bill passed 216 to 211. Also today, the federal D.C. Circuit Court unanimously issued a stay allowing the National Guard troops to be deployed to Washington, D.C., which will aid in the ongoing crime crackdown. Today, US Attorney Foley announced a $7 million crackdown on SNAP benefits fraud and those who have been charged. Also, Senator John Fetterman weighs in on the Trump administration's decision to physically block and seize sanctioned oil tankers leaving Venezuela and Iran. And a lot more happened today, so we're going to dive straight in. And if you enjoyed the video tonight, please give a quick like if you have a second, and consider subscribing to the channel if you enjoy the daily updates on the swamp, on the federal machine, the goings-on in Washington, D.C., and if you leave a comment below, I might just read it on the next episode. And if you by chance want me to give your channel a sub, I will do so if you just put in the comments, subscribe to me, and I will oblige. And every article that you'll see in the video will be linked in the description below. And we're going to start right here with more of a personal reminder that President Trump is addressing the nation from the White House. And I'm assuming it's going to be right here on the White House's page. Matter of fact, let me jump over here and just get this. I should have done this already, but that's all right. Let me just make sure I get this set up here. So around 9 o'clock, as of this recording, it's 8:04 p.m. So I got about an hour, and I'm assuming President Trump, he's probably going to be a few minutes late, because not only President Trump, but all presidents, they tend to be a little late whenever they address the nation, but that is perfectly fine. But otherwise, the show, it's probably going to be relatively short. I didn't get as many posts today, because really I didn't come across a whole lot, first of all. And also, I wanted to leave a little bit of time left over at the end to listen to President Trump's address to the nation, because I don't know how long it's going to be. It could be 5 minutes or it could be a half hour. So I figured I would just leave time open for that. And anyway, I'll jump straight in. Rapid Response 47, 5 hours ago. May God bless the memory of these fallen American patriots, and may God be with their loved ones. Rest in peace, heroes. And we're going to watch this footage here of them being taken off of the plane, or actually off of the vehicle. I think they already had removed them from the plane. Draped in the stars and stripes. There doesn't appear to be any audio, so that's not from my end. Actually, here, let me double check. Okay, yes, there is no audio. I confirmed. So, not that anybody's saying anything. I mean, you know, unfortunately, these events, whenever they unfortunately happen, it's usually quiet, very respectful. And yeah, it looks like there's 3 of them, correct? I think there were 3 who passed away while in the line of duty serving our country in Syria. Okay, so there's the first one. I have another one. Oh no, is the post unavailable? Oh, why did they take it down? Here, let me double check. What? Well, that's weird. It was another video of the same event, but it showed President Trump there paying his respects. So, well, you see him right over here. Actually, yeah. So that's the one that I just watched. You see President Trump over here. That's what the second video was basically illustrating, because Chairwoman Lisa McClain says, "Thank you, President Trump, for getting the remains of my constituent Ayed safely home. Interpreters take on exceptional risk to aid our troops, and unfortunately, Ayed paid the ultimate price in service to our nation. May he rest in peace." And moving on, I've got this from U.S. Central Command from 4 hours ago. U.S. forces protect the homeland with aggressive pursuit of ISIS in Syria. And the article is coming out of Tampa. I assume that whenever they they released these articles. They released them from Tampa due to MacDill Air Force Base. I'm assuming that's still the Central Command operations with regard to the Middle East. At least it was like during Operation Iraqi Freedom and Afghanistan. As far as memory serves, I know at least it was the headquarters for all the drone operations. I know that to be a fact, that MacDill Air Force Base was central in those operations. So anyway, so out of Tampa, Florida, U.S. and partner forces in Syria have conducted nearly 80 operations since July to eliminate terrorist operatives, including ISIS remnants that posed a direct threat to the United States and interests abroad. ISIS has inspired at least 11 plots or attacks against targets in the United States over the past year. In response, U.S. Central Command, or CENTCOM, operations have resulted in 119 terrorists detained and 14 killed over the last 6 months, disrupting efforts for ISIS to reconstitute and inspire terror attacks globally. CENTCOM forces conducted a September raid in Syria that resulted in the death of senior ISIS operative Omar Abdul Qadir, who actively sought to attack the United States. Quote, "We are steadfast in our relentless pursuit of terrorists who seek to harm Americans and our interests abroad," said Admiral Brad Cooper, CENTCOM commander. And he goes on to say operations in Syria are critical for preventing ISIS from regenerating and posing a significant threat. We will root out and eliminate terrorist jihadists wherever they hide. It just begs the question. Look, we've already completely obliterated ISIS during the first Trump administration, and obviously they came back again. So is this going to have to be a thing that just goes on for forever, for decades and decades? Just assuming that even though that we completely exterminate ISIS, they just came right back again. So it sounds like that this, unfortunately, just may be something that we're just going to have to keep combating for many years to come, I suppose. Anyway, last month, U.S. military personnel from Combined Joint Task Force Operation Inherent Resolve partnered with the Syrian Ministry of Interior in locating and destroying more than 15 sites containing ISIS weapons caches in southern Syria. The combined operation destroyed over 130 mortars and rockets, multiple rifles, machine guns, anti-tank mines, and materials for building improvised explosive devices. Quote, "We have now had multiple instances of collaboration with the Syrian government to counter specific ISIS threats," Cooper said. "These are the types of tangible security gains we can make on the ground through the close cooperation with Syrian government forces." During a July raid in Al-Bab, Aleppo, government U.S. forces conducted a raid resulting in the death of senior ISIS leader Daya Zawba Musleh al-Hardani and his 2 adult ISIS-affiliated sons, Abdallah Daya al-Hardani and Abd al-Rahman Daya Zawba al-Hardani. Damn, that's a hell of a mouthful. It's like 6 names. They posed a threat to U.S. forces, coalition partners, and the Syrian government. Quote, "Deploying our forces to take out these individuals makes America and the region safer," said Cooper. "We will continue to work closely with our Syrian partners to hunt down ISIS networks and prevent their resurgence." And the war just keeps on going. Just keeps on going and going, farther and farther into the future. But, they got to do what they got to do. Okay, Speaker Mike Johnson, 8 hours ago. Today, the House will take up the Lower Healthcare Premiums for All Americans Act, a critical first step toward fixing the broken healthcare system Democrats created. This bill finally delivers common sense reforms to lower premiums, expand access, increase choice and flexibility, and bring transparency to healthcare. It would cut premium costs by at least 11% and save taxpayers nearly $30 billion. That's real relief for American families. So we'll hear Mike Johnson out, and then I'll go over some of the details as to what this bill entails. So first, we'll hear this from Mike Johnson.
The Lower Healthcare Premiums for All Americans Act, which will be on the floor tomorrow, is the first big step in that regard. As has been noted about Dr. Miller-Meeks and the other leaders here, it offers common sense solutions to lower premium cost for everybody, all Americans. It expands access to quality care. It provides every American with more options and flexibility to choose coverage that works for them. And it brings greater transparency to America's healthcare system. And here's how. The bill has 5 key reforms. I'll just reiterate some of this real quickly. It reduces premium cost through cost-sharing reduction payments.
All right.
It brings pharmacy benefit manager transparency and removes the hidden cost of prescription drugs. It allows small business owners and independent workers to form association health plans
Got it.
It provides more choice for employees to customize their health care plans, and it protects small businesses from costly regulatory overreach.
Okay, let's hope
According
so.
to the latest CBO projection, Republicans' cost-sharing reduction payments, just that provision alone, would reduce premiums by at least 11% and will save taxpayers tens of billions of dollars, about $30 billion.
Okay, well, one can only hope so, at least until it passes and we start to see real results in that. So let me see. Maybe I'll just play this one first before I get into the details of the bill. So for 15 long years, Americans have paid the price for the Unaffordable Care Act. Marketplace premiums are up 80% since 2014. Analysts estimate 6.4 million ineligible enrollments, and a new report confirms the Democrat system lacks even basic guardrails against fraud, waste, and abuse. Yeah, ongoing fraud, waste, and abuse, and probably in the tens and maybe even $100 billion plus. And of course, the Democrats, their pushback is, well, Republicans, they want to take healthcare away from 20 million people, which I have no idea where the hell they get that 20 million number from, but whatever. So, just taking this number in and of itself, 6.4 million people being ineligible. So the Democrats, they're going to take that and say, oh, they're stripping healthcare away from 6.4 innocent Americans. So anyway, this failure should alarm every American, and it demands real reform to lower costs, not another Democrat bailout.
For 15 long years, Americans have now faced skyrocketing premiums, fewer quality choices, inefficient care, and widespread fraud, waste, and abuse. Benchmark premiums on the Obamacare marketplace for every plan, listen to this, they've increased 80% overall since 2014, and they're continuing to rise. The Unaffordable Care Act marketplace has resulted in lower quality.
Now, is that 80% as of this year, or is that 80% as of January 1st when the heightened premiums kick in? Because they didn't extend those subsidies. So Democrats are saying that, well, we've got constituents in our districts, their premiums are going up 700%, 800%, 1,000%. Chuck Schumer said that there's one family that their premiums are going to go up $20,000 a year, according to Chuck Schumer. He said it. And I'm just curious to know, is that 80% before or after those heightened premiums kick in? Probably before, I would assume.
Plan offerings and less consumer choices to date. Fraud is absolutely rampant. Paragon Health is one of the analyst groups, and they estimate there's over 6.4 million people who are improperly enrolled in the Obamacare exchanges. And a recent GAO study, the Government Accountability Office, found some staggering facts. It proved what we all know intuitively about the fraud that's involved in this program. They found that Obamacare's subsidy system lacks even the most basic guardrails to prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. And I think that study is something that you should all dig into. It should be on the front page of every newspaper because it is shocking and alarming.
Yeah, that really is. And does that even include the number of illegal immigrants that are getting Obamacare? I mean, maybe some loopholes, some whatever that was passed during the Biden administration, whatever executive orders he probably signed that would allow them to get benefits. Okay, yeah, sure, whatever. But they better be on doing that if they haven't already, which I'm assuming they've already done that. Okay, so, all right, let me head over to, let me think, how should I do this? You know what, I'm just going to go to my profile from here because I linked it right here, admin-ways. Oh no, wait a minute. Why can't that be reached? Okay, well, if I can't reach it, then I'll just Google it. Let me try this. I mean, all I did was paste the link directly. What the fuck? Okay, hold on a sec. Okay, I found it. I got it. Here we go. This is on waysandmeans.house.gov, published today, December 17th, 2025. House Republicans vote to lower health care costs for all Americans. And, of course, it's going to be out of Washington, D.C. Actually, let me just try to full screen this. See, why is it all cut off over here on the edge? It's really freaking irritating. I prefer the text to be larger, so anybody who might be watching this on their phones or a smaller screen, you'd be able to read along, but okay. Anyway, so today, House Republicans voted to expand health insurance options for the over 60 million Americans employed by small businesses and require much-needed transparency in drug pricing to combat the middlemen who are driving up the cost of drugs for the 164 million Americans on employer-sponsored insurance. Two Ways and Means policies included in the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act. This legislation will lower health care costs for all Americans and build on Republicans' working families tax cuts enacted earlier this year that delivered solutions to lower premiums and increase access to care. The Ways and Means Committee Chairman Jason Smith issued the following statement on the passage in the House of Representatives of this act. Democrats have failed to deliver on their promise to make healthcare affordable. Premiums have gone up 80%, and 150 rural hospitals have been shut down since Democrats enacted Obamacare. It's disappointing, but not surprising, that every single Democrat rejected an opportunity to lower costs for working families in favor of writing another blank check to health insurers to prop up a system that the GAO has confirmed is riddled with fraud. The Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act gives access to choice arrangements that lower health care costs, expands coverage options for small business workers, and lowers premiums and drug costs for Americans on employer-sponsored insurance. Unlike Democrats that want to funnel more taxpayer dollars to big insurance companies and double down on a failed system, Republicans are acting to actually lower healthcare costs for working families. So getting into a little bit of the details, the Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act. It includes Ways and Means Committee policies that expand choice and lower costs for all Americans, not just those that receive Obamacare premium tax credits. Choice arrangements allow employers to provide free tax contributions to their employees, giving them the freedom to use those funds to purchase health care coverage that best fits their family's needs. These pre-tax benefits are the same ones used by Fortune 500 companies offering healthcare coverage. 1 million Americans already use this arrangement, and the legislation would expand its use to another 350,000 individuals. So that's still pretty small scale, though. Anyway, the bill also prevents pharmacy benefit managers, middlemen owned by insurance companies, from keeping employers in the dark about the true price of drugs. I think that's a very good thing. They should have never been allowed to do that. The bill requires detailed reporting and transparency from PBMs, so plans and employers know the true cost of drug rebates, fees, and payments, and can then negotiate better contracts and fuel competition to lower prices. The Congressional Budget Office has confirmed this policy does lower premiums. And government watchdog finds Obamacare riddled with fraud. But I believe we got the gist of that from Mike Johnson. Anyway, if you want to pause the video, you could read it here. Also, of course, I'm going to link this in the description if you want to read it on your own. So, working families tax cuts lower premiums for families. Earlier this year, Republicans enacted the Working Families Tax Cuts that will lower healthcare costs as part of the largest tax cuts in American history. The Congressional Budget Office has found that the program integrity measures in the Working Families Tax Cuts have already produced $185 billion in savings for taxpayers and reduced premiums by 0.6%. Hey man, it's better than skyrocketing up over 80%. Expanding health savings accounts at HSAs to millions on Obamacare will unlock triple tax advantages for medical care, better protection against medical debt during emergencies, and more freedom to choose affordable care. Recognizing direct primary care arrangements as a qualified medical expense will empower families to pair and spend HSA funds on low-cost primary care, and making telehealth flexibility permanent will ensure that high-deductible health plans, or HDHPs, can continue covering telehealth visits before deductibles are met. Read here about how the Working Families Tax Cuts lower healthcare costs for workers and families. Of course, by linking this in the description, that's also going to be down at the bottom of this webpage. So as well as right here, what they describe here about GAO's findings of systemic fraud in the Obamacare marketplace. So that will be there as well. And let me resize this, and we'll roll on to the next topic. And it's still going to be regarding Obamacare and the whole healthcare nonsense that we're dealing with today. So this comes from Energy and Commerce Committee. Obamacare is riddled with plans that cost too much and deliver too little care. The Lower Health Care Premiums for All Americans Act, led by Rep. MMM, which is Marionette Miller Meeks, I think, right? Is it Miller Meeks? Yeah, that's right. Miller Meeks, MD. And let's see, led by Rep. Meeks, delivers what Americans have been asking for: lower premiums, lower choices, and a healthcare system that works for and not against them. So we'll hear her out.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong support of my bill, the Lower Healthcare Premiums for All Americans Act, a bill rightfully named because that's exactly what it does. Republicans want to lower healthcare costs and premiums for all Americans. All of the Americans on commercial insurance, all of the small businesses, all of the people on the ACA exchanges, and all of the self-insured. Not just a select few, and not subsidizing profitable insurance companies. Insurance, especially bad insurance, is not care. The lower health care premiums for all Americans offer common sense solutions to Americans' broken health care system by lowering premiums through choice and competition, By expanding association health plans, we give small businesses and self-employed workers the buying power of large employers, cutting premiums by as much as 30%. Giving families control over their dollars, we strengthen choice arrangements, allowing defined contributions and pre-tax options so workers can choose the right plan for their needs rather than being stuck in plans that cost too much and deliver too little care. Being transparent to drug pricing, we take on the pharmacy benefit managers who have long operated behind the scenes as middlemen, collecting hidden fees while prescription prices climb. Our reforms force transparency so families can finally see where their healthcare dollars go and pay less at the pharmacy counter. Protecting access to employer-sponsored insurance. By clarifying access to stop-loss insurance, we safeguard small businesses from being financially ruined by catastrophic health claims. Stabilizing premiums responsibly. We responsibly fund cost-sharing reduction payments, lowering ACA premium cost for all in the marketplace by 11%. This policy alone results in an average premium savings of $900 nationally while reducing federal spending, saving taxpayers $36 billion. And contrary to what you hear from my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, the premium tax credits continue and revert back to their 2021 levels. This bill delivers what Americans have been asking for: lower premiums, more choices, and a healthcare system that works for them, not against them. It's time to put all Americans and their doctors in the driver's seat and ahead of profitable insurance companies. I urge my colleagues to support this legislation, and I yield back.
Okay, well, she makes it sound so easy, almost as if, like, why didn't they just do this over a decade ago? It's almost like they had lobbyists' interest at heart, the healthcare industry, the pharmaceutical industry. Maybe that's who the Democrats were actually working for with regard to Obamacare. But of course, we've heard all of this before. Healthcare is going to lower your costs. We heard that in the past, thanks to Obamacare. But this time, the Republicans are rolling out legislation. So maybe this time we'll get some real relief. But will it really go down, though? Because after all, prices across the board, they generally go up, not down. Even if it slows to a crawl, I mean, everything across the economy generally goes up, like what, an average of 2% a year. So I think regardless of what they do, we probably won't get the much, much better healthcare that we once had before Obamacare was passed. So this comes from Real America's Voice, and it says, Obamacare on trial. Senator Ron Johnson argues the law was designed to fail, says temporary subsidies are being used to shift blame, and calls for consumer-driven healthcare using free market competition and HSAs instead of prescriptive federal mandates. And we got this from
Obamacare itself was designed to fail.
Real America's Voice.
Because what the Democrats really want is a single-payer system, like Canada, like the UK, where you can put on waiting lists where I guess the solution to actually taking care of people and healing them is euthanasia. So we don't want that here in America. But no, Democrats and their allies in the media have been very good at now making the American public believe that because your health care costs are rising, it's all because Republicans didn't extend these enhanced subsidies that were supposed to be temporary only based on the pandemic.
We sold it to you at this price, and it's cheaper because it's not going to be forever, and it's cheaper now. This is our plan, so we're going to put it in. But when it expires, God forbid you're the ones who are holding the bag, and you are because you won the elections, you're going to be blamed for it. It's crazy how D.C. worked. Isn't there another solution? Can't we just free marketize the whole healthcare system? I know Big Pharma doesn't want that. Maybe even big insurance doesn't want that. But what about just put everything to the free market? Remove the subsidies, but also remove all the restrictions. There's so many restrictions that are geared towards Big Pharma and big insurance.
Well, again, that's one of the reasons premiums are so high is because the Obamacare policies are very prescriptive. So no, the solution is consumerism. It works in every other area of our economy, guarantees the lowest cost, the best price, the best level of quality and customer service. That's what a free market does. We don't have that operating in healthcare. And as I said, every incentive is for higher prices. Again, you want prices high because you're making 10% off it or 15% off it or whatever. So there's no incentive to lower costs. The only incentive that drives costs lower is consumers, millions of them, hundreds of millions of them, demanding better pricing, better quality, better levels of customer service. We don't have that in healthcare at all. You transition to it using things like health savings accounts. But again, you first have to get Americans to understand that they have to start paying for this. They have to be consumers themselves, and they buy insurance for the big things, for the big surgeries, for the accidents where you have, just like a car accident, who buys first dollar coverage auto insurance, right? No, you take care of the dings, you do the oil change yourself, you have car insurance in case you total out your car.
I mean, look, I think there's a lot of good ideas, a lot of fair ideas out there. Just a quick comment to the euthanasia thing. Personally, I think that if you're terminally ill, say that you're only given a year to live at most, and your illness is going to cause an unimaginable, painful death, then you probably should have that ability to make that decision. Of course, I think like what they do in Canada, they like you have to get 2 doctors or like 3 doctors to sign off on it. The whole issue with Canada is the whole slippery slope thing. Like, well, if you're depressed, you can end it all. No, that's absolutely insane. Like, I would say, like, again, like if you're terminally ill, you got a year left, something like that. You know, I don't have the answers to all that. I think that there is a fair argument to be made with regard to that. Like, you know, because there's stories of patients that are on their deathbeds begging to end it all. And the doctors, the medical facility, they do everything that they possibly can to keep them going for as long as humanly possible. And, you know, on one hand, they say it's to preserve life. But of course, on the other hand, there's the argument that the healthcare industry, they make more money with each day that they're keeping them alive. So, all right. But anyway, that's off topic. All right. So Mark Wayne Mullen, yep, 100% Americans no. Dems wrote Obamacare. Obamacare passed with no GOP votes, which is true. And Dems created the Obamacare COVID credits to hide their high costs with 0 GOP votes. Then Democrats extended those credits and chose a December 2025 expiration date with no Republican votes. All true, all happened. I verified that on this show, I believe more than once in the past, when the whole healthcare discussion was in full swing back when the government was shut down. And that's absolutely legit. They had no support from Republicans during this whole nonsense with Obamacare. And anyway, he posted this from C-SPAN. Rep. Jason Smith, whenever you say that Republicans removed the subsidies, that's a complete lie. It's not false, it's a lie, because those subsidies were created solely by Democrats, and they chose to make them temporary. Of course, you have Democrats every single day, over and over again. They're just all of them, basically. They're all saying that this is the Republican healthcare crisis. This is all the Republicans' fault because they're not extending the clean subsidies. But all right, so anyway, let's just give this a quick watch, Smith, even though it's 5 minutes. But we'll see where it goes.
What law did Republicans pass that throws 15 million people off their health insurance? That's the accusation that was made of
Fox, you getting old. Holy cow.
It's a great question. I've been setting up here listening to the testimony,
must be sharp as a tax
Madam Chair.
She's chairing the committee.
It is unacceptable that people are not being honest. And not being honest with the American people, because whenever you say that Republicans removed the subsidies, that's a complete lie.
It's a lie.
It's not false. It's a lie.
Flat out lie.
Because those subsidies were created solely by Democrats, and they chose to make them temporary in the American Rescue Plan and in the Inflation Reduction Act. They set the sunset for the end of this month. You know why they set the sunset for the end of this month? Is because they spent all their money making permanent environmental tax benefits for their wealthy donors instead of the American people. And that
it's the Democrats always saying the Republicans are always cozying up to their billionaires and they're giving tax breaks to the billionaires, and that's why they're attacking our health care system.
It's just a fact, Madam Chair.
Damn, mic drop, man.
I think you're being very generous in what you are saying here. I also understand
you can't deny it. It's a simple fact.
The comment was made that
0 Republican votes.
There is only one way for Americans to access affordable health care, and that is through a discharge petition that has been introduced. However, Americans have lots of opportunities to access affordable health care, and this bill will do that, as you said, for all Americans. And what our colleagues are saying is they want to cover 7% of Americans.
What?
Did I hear you say that correctly? And have I heard our colleagues on our side of the aisle say that correctly?
That's correct. There's 347 million Americans. There's 24 million that's roughly on the exchanges. And all the conversation that you've heard from the other side today is about that 7% of the population. The employer-sponsored healthcare alone is 164 million people.
Yeah, it is.
Their premiums are going up, but they're not putting forward any solutions
all of us
to lower their premiums. They say that they're for PBM reform, but they're not voting that way.
Correct. And would you like to explain about the ghost people that are being counted on the 24 million? We don't even believe it's 24 million. Is that not correct?
Yeah, it's like,
so
what,
out of the
7 million
24 million, it's quite disturbing that you look that almost just close to 12 million people last year never filed one medical claim. Not one.
Yep.
You cannot
but the insurance
tell
company
me
still got their money.
that those 12 million people did not have a medical claim. These are people that are automatically enrolled in health insurance on the exchanges, and they don't know that they have health insurance. That's why they didn't file a claim. They have medical expenses, but guess what? Those insurance companies that the Democrats are fighting and pushing for these major subsidies, they still got their subsidies. But the American people did not get their health care coverage.
The health insurance companies are being paid for 12 million people who never filed a claim. Is that correct?
That's correct. That was last year alone, in 2024.
So if you say we are paying for 24 million, 12 million never filed a claim, so aren't we talking about an even smaller group of people that our colleagues want to spend a lot of money on?
$40 billion a year.
$40 billion a year.
And a sizable percentage goes directly to the insurance companies in the form of profit.
I've said what the Democrats always want to do, and that's clear in this piece of legislation, it's clear in their defense of the Unaffordable Care Act. Throw money at a problem that they think. Premiums in the individual market have been rising since the Unaffordable Care Act was enacted. 129% since that bill was enacted. All our friends want to do is authorize more subsidies to insurance companies. It's the only proposal they've offered since 2014.
Yeah, and just all you have to do is just look at all these Democrats that are pushing the heaviest toward passing these subsidies, and look at the healthcare companies that have been giving them money in the form of campaign contributions. Like Elizabeth Warren alone got like $700,000, $800,000 just from big pharma companies alone, and that I'm sure that doesn't include other medical networks, whatever those might be, hospital networks or medical facilities, radiology centers, whatever form that they might take. I'm sure that they've probably gotten millions of dollars from the health care industry at large, plus the health insurance industry. I'm sure that they were probably contributing greatly to their campaigns. So anyway, moving on to Senator James Lankford. GAO reveals active fraud in Obamacare. Since 2024, GAO has created 20 fake enrollee profiles within the Obamacare system to receive subsidized healthcare insurance. Today, 18 of those 20 profiles are still active. These 18 fake people are costing the taxpayer $10,000 a month in premiums. That's just 18 people. CMS has still not caught these fraudulent accounts that GAO created. They are still actively in the system. And remember what they were just talking about. 12 million people were enrolled and had no idea they were even enrolled. So this $10,000 a month, it represents just 18 people who, of course, that they created those fake profiles. But still, I mean, do the simple math. Yeah, I'm sure they are spending over $40 billion, or even if it's half that, $20 billion for those 12 million people who have no idea they're even on Obamacare. This is the unacceptable reality of Obamacare. Something needs to change immediately.
On the healthcare, and I want to go to some of the testing that GAO did on the Affordable Care Act, and they did some quick evaluation to be able to say, can you get into the system and actually sign up for this and not be a person? on it. My understanding is there were 24 different individuals that were fraudulent individuals that were created to be able to test the system. The results were pretty stark on this. Yeah. So I want to be able to ask a little bit more about their report and dig in on it.
Yeah, and companies, they do this all the time to try to weed out things like fraud, waste, and abuse. Even like tech companies or even regular companies that heavily rely on tech for their daily functions, they'll hire hackers and they will try to breach their system. They'll try to hack into their system to find the flaws and see how they can get in. And then they'll write up a report like, this is how I got into this. This is how I infiltrated into that. This is how I breached through this. And these individuals are paid a lot of money to do what they do. I think they call them white hat hackers. But I'm sure that there's an entire industry around that, just trying to get to the bottom of how people can not only just infiltrate companies, but how they can commit fraud against these companies, and they don't understand where this money's going or who's committing these fraudulent acts. And even the federal government is doing it, and it's actually nice that they're doing it. It really sucks that they only caught 2 out of all those accounts that they created.
So, good morning, Senator Marino, Chairman Langford. My name is Seto Bagdoyan. I'm a director at GAO, and I'm leading the work with the testing presently. So the actual number is 20 scenarios. We started with 4 in late 2024. 20. We rolled those over, and we added 16 more to our total. This is based on a comprehensive investigative plan. It is designed specifically to test controls, not project the extent of fraud. So I want to be very specific about that. We are focusing on the federal marketplace. And those 20 scenarios involve 10 applications through healthcare.gov and 10 through brokers, which we selected through the website itself and also through random research on Google. 14 of those are single individuals, and 6.
They're getting paid. They don't
14
care.
of them are. They are all single. 14 of them are at no cost to the enrollee, and 6 of them do pay a modest premium. So we have been successful in 19 of 20 attempts. 1 attempt was later flagged by CMS in June of this year. So that scenario is no longer active. But we do have 18 of them that cost the government over $10,000 a month in premiums. We will continue to roll them over and monitor what happens from CMS.
So they're still active, even at this moment?
They are.
So
as we speak, 18 of the 20 are active.
Still fraud. Still active.
My question to you on this is this false Social Security numbers? Is this multiple Social Security numbers?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Entering Mickey Mouse and a fake address in
like
Orlando,
123 Fake Street.
And, well, I guess that would be Mickey's actual address. But yeah,
how cartoonishly fake are these profiles?
He vacations in California occasionally. Right. Is this a fake name and fake address?
Everything is fake, sir. All the information, driver's license, the Social Security number, pay stubs, birth certificates, anything and everything that the marketplace has asked us to submit is fake.
Oh my God, dude. That is so messed up, man. That is unbelievable. Unbelievable. It's going to take years to get to the bottom of these 12 million people who are fraudulently enrolled. It just goes to show the corruption in our system. It just seems limitless. Like there's no limit to the amount of corruption that's going on. Okay, so moving on to Caroline Leavitt. Trump's push to knock out the filibuster gains new GOP traction as funding deadline nears. And this is going to be coming from Fox News. Trump's push to knock out filibuster gains new GOP traction as funding deadline nears. Not sure if they're going to get that across the finish line, but I mean, hey, if it even picks up 1 or 2 senators, it's still a step in the right direction. So gutting the filibuster was once a taboo notion among Senate Republicans, but the idea is gaining traction thanks to President Donald Trump's repeated calls to throw out the long-standing procedure. The Senate filibuster is the 60-vote threshold that applies to most bills in the upper chamber, and given the nature of the thin majorities that either party has commanded in recent years, that means legislation typically has to be bipartisan to advance. It proved a key barrier to reopening the government and advancing several other Republican priorities in recent weeks, like the GOP's Obamacare fix that was torpedoed by Senate Democrats. And, historically, the way that it should work is that you do want cooperation on both sides. We want to remain united. We are the United States of America, after all. But it's just the Democrats have gotten just so far off base, man. They've just gone completely psychopathic at this point. where they're putting their party above the country itself, embracing all these communist values and all this socialism bullshit. So anyway, for years, it's been viewed as a tool of the minority party in the Senate, meant to prevent majorities from ramming through partisan legislation that both Republicans and Democrats have taken advantage of. And I think that's a good thing. That is a good thing. We don't want every single piece of legislation to just get railroaded through forever and ever. We don't want our federal code to build up to 100 million pages. So anyway, but near monthly prodding from Trump and recent frustration with the 43-day government shutdown has some Republicans rethinking their position on the filibuster. It's something I'm giving serious consideration to now, Senator Roger Marshall, Republican from Kansas, told Fox News. And Marshall previously told Fox News Digital, never, none, when asked if he would consider changing the rules after Trump called on Republicans to nuke the filibuster back in October. Just a few months later, Marshall is reconsidering his position. I mean, probably because he realized, well, if or when Democrats retake the Senate, they're just going to do it anyway. Of course they're going to do it anyway. From my understanding, they already tried it, but there was Kristen Sinema, and then there was one other Democrat senator who voted not to nuke the filibuster, so they were unsuccessful. But those two senators are gone. So arguably, the Democrat senators who are in there right now, if they put that to a vote, it will pass. They will nuke that filibuster. So they might as well get ahead of it. All right, I think between the last government shutdown and the threat of this one, it makes me pause, he said. It seems like the appropriations process is being slowed down. It feels like with healthcare that the Democratic Party doesn't want to get anything done, so eliminating the filibuster ends all that. Yeah, they don't want to get anything done that Republicans stand behind, nothing at all. No, they want to do just whatever the Republicans are standing behind, they just want to do the exact opposite. And he echoed Trump, who on Monday told reporters that he wanted Senate Republicans to knock out the filibuster. You wouldn't have January 30th looming because you have the 30th of January looming. You know that, right? And if we knocked out the filibuster, it would be just a simple approval, he said. But you have some Republicans, they're unable to explain why. You know, if you ask them why they're unable to explain, they cannot win the debate because they should knock out the filibuster. The likelihood that such a change crosses the floor in the Senate is low, given that Senate Majority Leader John Thune has routinely remained rooted in his position that the filibuster shouldn't be touched. Well, guess what, dude? Democrats are going to get rid of it regardless. Still, Senator Markwayne Mullin, Republican of Oklahoma, a member of Thune's leadership team, said that his position has also changed on the filibuster. Really? Mullin told Fox News' Will Cain that during a recent meeting with Senate GOP leadership, he asked the room if they truly believed that Senate Democrats wouldn't try to get rid of the procedural safeguard when they regained a majority again. Oh, they will. Oh, you better believe they will. And they're going to start packing the Supreme Court. God knows what they're going to be doing with it. If we believe that they're going to do it, then why don't we just go ahead and get it done? He said, absolutely. That's what everybody keeps saying. Other Republicans are more skeptical about the odds of the filibuster getting axed. Some, like Mullin, think it could be narrowly tailored to only apply to spending bills, while others see the move as fantasy. Dude, they're absolutely insane if they don't. Like, they still believe that the Democrats are still a force for good. They still believe that the Democrats still have, like, the fundamental American rights and our culture, our morals, our values. Like Republicans apparently still believe that they value all of that, which I don't believe they do in any way, shape, or form. I don't think they do at all. And Senator John Kennedy, Republican of Louisiana, said that lawmakers weren't even using the tools we have right now to pass Republicans' agenda. Kennedy has pushed for another round of budget reconciliation, given that Republicans have two more attempts at the grueling process to tackle the growing affordability issues in the country. And look, man, if Democrats take back over, man, you think things are tough now. Just wait till they start passing all kinds of shit that is just going to absolutely jack up taxes beyond belief. He argued that's how Republicans passed Trump's signature legislation, the One Big Beautiful Bill, earlier this year. Yes, you can't do everything, but you can do a lot, and that's what I would be concentrating my energies on, Kennedy said. And I've said respectfully to the president that I don't think the United States Senate is going to give up the filibuster or the blue slip. He obviously disagrees, and I respect that reasonable people disagree sometimes, but I'm a pragmatist. I deal with the world as it is, not as I want it to be. All right. Okay, I guess so. And we'll just roll on to the next thing. I don't think it's going to get done, but I guess one can only hope at this point. All right, Attorney General Pamela Bondi, she says, another important court victory for President Trump's agenda. Today, the D.C. Circuit unanimously issued a stay in favor of our National Guard deployment to Washington, D.C. Our federal surge in D.C. has saved countless lives, removed hundreds of illegal guns off the street, and led to a dramatic drop in crime in our nation's capital city. We will continue fighting in court to defend the president's agenda. And did she attach any article? No, she didn't. But, I mean, we get the idea. National Guard that had in Washington, D.C. All right, Chairman Joe Gruters. GOP is poised to take the lead in North Carolina voter registration. This process was years in the making and is largely due to the great work of Whatley in North Carolina, Michael Whatley, and Chairman Jason Simmons, North Carolina GOP, chairman of the North Carolina Republican Party, and the North Carolina GOP for getting our message out and connecting with voters. And they tagged in Delaney Bomar, who said, new GOP poised to overtake Democrats on voter rolls in key swing state after years of Democrat dominance. This is horrible news for long shot North Carolina Democrats like Roy Cooper and Don Davis. The GOP is poised to overtake the Democrats on voter rolls in key swing state after years of Democrat dominance. And it looks like we got the article right here. So we'll dig into this just a little bit. And Democrats have been dealing with declining voter rolls in a number of states, but one key battleground state in particular appears to be on the verge of flipping from a state that for decades has had more registered Democrat voters to one with more registered Republicans. Well, probably because they're also calling those voter rolls that they want to go over and see how many of those are fraudulent. North Carolina agreed to turn over their voter rolls for review, and that's probably probably won't only flip North Carolina. It's probably going to flip quite a lot of states, and it might actually push even some of the deepest blue states probably a lot more toward red than we might even realize. Probably not enough to get across, to cross over into a red state. I'm sure that's not going to happen for probably most of the blue states, but there could be a couple. Okay, so there were almost 750,000 more registered Democrats in North Carolina than Republicans just 10 years ago, and as of today, the difference is just over 1,000. According to the latest count by North Carolina State Board of Elections. That is incredible. Voters across North Carolina are rejecting the Democrats' failed agenda and choosing Republican leadership. And this is why they wanted and why Democrats are still fighting tooth and nail to keep as many illegals here as possible. That's why they're demonizing ICE, why they're demonizing border protection. They're demonizing all federal agents in general because they're just fighting tooth and nail to try to keep them all here because they know they're losing. They want useful idiots, basically, which... I mean, I would argue that the vast majority of leftists, progressives, those card-carrying Democrats, that's just exactly what they are. They just pay attention to brain-dead mainstream news all day long, and they just eat it all up. Anyway, so, quote, this shift didn't happen overnight. It's the result of years of good common sense Republican governance and our focus on offering serious solutions on the issues that matter to the people. Earlier this year, ahead of the slate of elections that took place in November that saw Democratic Party wins virtually across the board, including multiple candidates who ran under the socialist banner. A New York Times analysis found that between 2020 and 24, Democrats lost about 2.1 million registered voters across 30 different states that keep track of voter registration data. Meanwhile, the analysis found that Republicans gained about 2.4 million. In total, this amounted to a deficit for the Democratic Party of 4.5 million registered voters over the last 4 years. I believe it. Frankly, I'm surprised it's not much higher than that, really. In North Carolina, specifically between 2005 and 15, the difference in the number of registered Republicans and Democrats in North Carolina remained mostly steady, with a difference of about 670,000, give or take, in 2005 and in 2015, respectively. But beginning in 2015, that deficit started to shrink. 5 years later, in 2020, the difference was a little under 380,000 in favor of Democrats before their lead shrunk to just 1,216, according to the North Carolina Board of Elections' latest voter roll records. The reality is that bad Democrat policies coming out of Washington are driving voters away from the party here at home. Well, not just that, but they've just absolutely lost their ever-loving minds, man, just across the board. Just embracing some of the most just insane, batshit crazy nonsense. Former Republican National Committee chairman and North Carolina Republican Senate candidate Michael Whatley said. And insane policies supported by Roy Cooper and pushed by D.C. Democrats like Bernie Sanders and Kamala Harris are completely out of step with North Carolinians, he said. Democrats couldn't win Senate races here even when they had a cash advantage and a huge voter registration edge. Now they've lost the registration advantage too, and voters are making it clear that they're done with failed Democratic leadership. And it's only going to get worse because Democrats, they will not stop doubling down. They're just going to keep on and on and on, just going further and further off that leftist cliff. In response to North Carolina's trend of growing Republican voters versus its decline in Democrat voters, the Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee, the DCCC, pointed to the GOP's overall share of registered voters, which has statistically declined, while the number of unaffiliated voters has increased. However, the increase in unaffiliated voters has impacted both Republicans and Democrats' overall vote share, with Democrats witnessing a much sharper drop in overall registered voters across the last decade compared to Republicans, the data shows. So, all right. Anyway, there's a little bit left of that, but I will move on to the next thing and head back to the main list. And we got this from U.S. Attorney in Massachusetts, breaking U.S. Attorney Foley to hold press conference today at 1 p.m. to announce charges related to the trafficking of nearly $7 million worth of SNAP benefits. And I've got that video right here. At least I believe this is it. Let's give this a listen.
Good afternoon.
Good
Today
afternoon.
we are announcing federal charges against two men, Antonio Bonner and Saul Elisme, for large-scale SNAP benefit trafficking, a scheme that turned a program designed to feed families into a multi-million-dollar criminal enterprise. SNAP benefits are also known as food stamps.
Food stamps.
The defendants are charged with one count of food stamp fraud. As alleged in the charging documents, these men abused one of the government's most critical safety net programs for their own financial gain.
Oh, they're just a drop in the bucket.
This is taxpayer money
there's
meant
so
to
many
keep
doing
people
this.
from going hungry. These defendants decided to take it for themselves. These defendants exchanged SNAP benefits for cash, which they pocketed. Bonner, a naturalized U.S. citizen from Haiti, owned the Jesuela Variety Store. Elisme, a lawful permanent resident also from Haiti, owned the Saul Mache Mixe store. These two businesses were co-located within a single storefront in Boston. To be certain, these were not supermarkets. They were not full-service groceries. It would be a huge stretch to even call them convenience stores. In fact, the only thing convenient about these stores was how easy it was to commit SNAP benefit fraud. To put this in perspective, the Jesuela Variety Store is less than 150 square feet in size, smaller than
so it's
some bathrooms. The Saul Mache Mixe store was approximately 500 square feet in space. By contrast, a supermarket can be 20,000 to 60,000 square feet in size, have a dozen or more registers,
makes you wonder,
and employ numerous employees. Both the Jesuela Variety and Saul Mache Mixe stores had one register, no carriages, no hand baskets, and very little food for sale. One legitimate supermarket in the same area as these stores redeems approximately $80,000 in SNAP benefits per month. Over the last 20 months, the Jesuela Variety Store was redeeming between 3 and 6 times that amount monthly, with nowhere near the space, inventory, customers, or infrastructure to support it. The Saul Mache Mixe store redeemed over $120,000 in SNAP benefits in the last 6 months. Simply put, there is no plausible way SNAP-eligible food could have been purchased from these stores for this long. Yet, these two stores are alleged to have illicitly trafficked nearly $7 million in SNAP benefits.
Yikes.
The fraud was shocking and glaring. Investigators found that both stores had exceptionally large and highly anomalous SNAP redemption volumes, far beyond what is remotely possible for businesses of their size, type, and location. Since March of 2024, the Jesuela Variety Store had monthly SNAP redemptions that consistently exceeded $100,000. In the previous 20 months, the monthly SNAP redemptions were between $200,000 and $300,000 a month. In one of those months, the redemptions exceeded $500,000. Investigators' suspicions of fraudulent activity were confirmed on the ground. During the course of this investigation, undercover officers used EBT cards to traffic SNAP benefits for cash at both the Jesuela Variety Store and the Saul Mache Mixe store. The defendants themselves were working the cash registers, and both exchanged SNAP benefits for cash with the undercover officers. Observations made by the undercovers showed that it was just as easy for anyone with an EBT card to walk into either store and convert hundreds of dollars in SNAP benefits into cash, all tax-free. The defendants even sold liquor in exchange for SNAP benefits, an outright violation of federal law. And perhaps most disturbing, both stores sold donated food products known as Manipacks. These are meals manufactured by the nonprofit Feed My Starving Children, which are paid for entirely by charitable donations and are intended to be shipped directly to food-insecure children overseas, including children in Haiti. These products are not for sale anywhere.
Wow, well, where do they get it from?
Bonner and Elise May were selling them in their stores for nearly $10 a pack, profiting from food literally intended for starving children in disaster zones. The investigation also uncovered extensive financial manipulations. Because the stores had little legitimate inventory and almost no lawful income, the defendants relied almost entirely on USDA-funded SNAP redemptions. To conceal their fraud, they used numerous bank accounts to transfer the SNAP benefits around between the accounts they controlled to create the illusion of a legitimate business activity. They also funded certificates of deposits and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash withdrawals to keep enough cash on hand to pay out their customers. What were missing from the financial records were the things you would expect in any real grocery store, such as charges for wholesale invoices or large purchases for food inventory. Instead, the accounts reflected round-trip transactions, cash movements, and internal transfers to launder the SNAP proceeds. This case exposes a serious breakdown in oversight. Bonner's greed and fraud had no limits. Despite redeeming millions in SNAP benefits through his store, Bonner fraudulently obtained his own EBT card.
Oh, wow.
The court documents indicate that between 2022 and the present, he cashed himself out for over $10,000 in SNAP benefits. In 2025, all of those redemptions were through the Josuela Variety Store. It appears that the Massachusetts Department of Transitional Assistance conducted virtually no diligence when reviewing his application. It failed to compare Bonner's food stamp application against any record showing that he owned a business or that his store was already receiving millions of dollars of SNAP proceeds, or that he had hundreds of thousands of dollars moving through numerous bank accounts, or that he was married and living with his wife. Failures such as these allowed fraud and illegal conduct to grow unchecked for year on end. The court documents show that thousands of transactions have been taking place for years in large dollar amounts at stores that were not even large enough to store a fraction of the food necessary to justify these dollar amounts. And the numbers speak for themselves. $50,000 a month of fraud rapidly turned into $100,000 a month, then $200,000 a month, and at one point reached $500,000 of fraud in 1 month.
1 month.
Let me be clear. SNAP is the largest food assistance program in this country. It exists to feed families, not to bankroll criminals. This wasn't a paperwork error. It wasn't sloppy bookkeeping.
This is happening everywhere.
It was a deliberate scheme to sustain. A supermarket can be 20,000 to 60,000 square feet in size. This is not right. Their storefronts were not even large enough to support a legitimate food pantry. When someone turns the equivalent of that poorly stocked inventory into a cash exchange turnstile for federal benefits, they are stealing from every taxpayer and from every family that legitimately relies on this program. Claims that existing systems are sufficient to catch SNAP fraud are simply not borne out by the evidence collected in this single investigation. On December 15th, the AP ran a story titled, "Trump Administration Focuses on SNAP Fraud," and detailing that the administration is claiming that the government's biggest food aid program is riddled with fraud. The article stated that there was, quote, little publicly available data, unquote, showing the extent of the alleged SNAP fraud, and that others who, quote, study the program were skeptical about the scale of the fraud. I would like to direct those experts to the evidence documented in today's criminal complaint. Almost $7 million in fraud allegedly committed by 2 individuals.
Yeah, just 2 people.
This was not a sophisticated fraud scheme, and it didn't have to be
simple,
because
actually.
the lack of oversight was all that was needed to allow it to happen. This alleged fraud happened here in Massachusetts under the current system. It only involved 2 individuals, and it resulted in millions of dollars in losses.
That's blue state
leadership
for you.
This investigation is just the start. This office will continue to work with federal partners to identify, investigate, and prosecute SNAP trafficking, no matter how long it's been going on or how much money is involved. The Trump administration has made it clear that it will not tolerate SNAP benefit fraud, and it will criminally prosecute those who are engaging in the alleged fraud that was exposed in today's criminal complaint. The administration has requested assistance from all states, including the Commonwealth, that receive federal SNAP funding to provide data
a lot of those states are pushing back and saying
to
no.
identify fraud. Some states have complied with that request,
but others
have not.
No, they haven't.
Monday's AP article mentioned that
they're
Democratic-led states,
they know what's happening,
including Massachusetts, refused to turn over to the USDA data on its SNAP recipients, arguing that doing so would violate recipients' privacy, and claiming that the states already have systems in place for wrongdoing.
Obviously not.
There is no privacy right that protects for fraudulent criminal behavior. Public assistance programs are a lifeline. We will not allow them to be treated as a criminal revenue stream. I urge all states to join in the fight to make sure these programs are protected and that the criminals who steal from them are prosecuted. Thank you, and I will now turn it over to Assistant Special Agent in Charge, James Crowley with the FBI.
Man, that is un-effing believable, dude. Unbelievable. You know, if you look a certain way, as long as Democrats are running the show, you can get all the free benefits you want. So basically, this fraud scheme that they were doing, they had these fake storefronts. So if you go in there and you swipe your EBT card for, let's say, $100, the people running the store, they'll give you $50 back in cash. So essentially, they get to keep an extra $50 just for doing the transaction. I don't know if that was the exact number. I'm just throwing out an example, but it's just that simple. You go in there and you give them like $500 worth of EBT money, and then they'll give you back like $300 worth of cash or whatever it was. They were probably even stingier than that. They probably only gave back like maybe $200 for every $500 that they gave over. It's just crazy. And that actually reminds me of a video that I watched not long ago. I think I've already mentioned it once on this show, that a lady who was at Walmart, she bought a whole bunch of cases of the cheapest cans of soda that she could find in the store. I don't know if they still call it Sam's Choice soda. At least they used to. She bought a whole bunch of packs of soda, went out to the parking lot, opened up the cans one by one, dumping all the soda contents down the drain right in the parking lot. And somebody walked up to her filming, the person who uploaded the video. They're like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I'm pouring these out. And I'm like, well, why are you doing that? Well, because I'm going to take the cans and cash in the cans. And they're like, well, wait. So that doesn't make any sense. So you're spending money. You're spending like $100 worth of soda just to get like $5 worth of cans. She's like, no, it's okay. I'm just using my EBT, so it doesn't matter. So the person filming, they called the police, and the police arrested her for fraud. It's absolutely unreal. I think I saw that on TikTok. Okay, so anyway, moving on to Secretary Sean Duffy. This is hard to watch. Anti-Semitism will not be tolerated under President Trump's administration. NYC leaders must act to protect citizens riding their transit systems and forcefully condemn acts of hate. I pray for the Jewish community and celebrate the light of Hanukkah. And so he's reposting this from Danny Dannon, which was just a couple days ago. This is a deeply disturbing hate crime targeting young Chabad men on a train in New York whose only act was sharing the light of Hanukkah. Such acts of hatred must be unequivocally condemned, and those responsible must be held accountable. So it's only 33 seconds in length. I'm just going to say viewer discretion is advised. I haven't seen this yet. And anyway, it was posted, so we'll take a look at this.
Chill. Touch me, bro. Fuck you doing? Yo, chill. Chill, bro. Where am I sitting here?
Well, he got his face on camera. Did they catch that asshole? All right. Well, yeah, that happened in New York City. Anti-Semitism. Those individuals being obviously extremely racist, even though that we hear all the time that, well, certain people in this country, they can't be racist. They just can't be. Well, that looked pretty racist to me. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to take a look and see if Trump is speaking yet. As of my time, it's 9:08, so he's probably started by now. And let me jump back to the White House. His profile, see if they've got it on. Yep, it's live. Let's see, where is it? No, that's not going to be it. October 7th, 55 seconds ago, 2 minutes. Okay, where are we? 50 minutes. Okay, here it is. This should be it. Yeah, here we go.
Accomplished by tariff.
And he did start on schedule. Actually, he actually started a few minutes early. That's unusual. All right, let me go back. All right, here we go. All right, full screen. Wow, Merry Christmas.
I inherited a mess, and I'm fixing it.
That he did.
When I took office, inflation was the worst in 48 years.
Well, here, I'll turn it up.
And some would say in the history of our country, which caused prices to be higher than ever before, making life unaffordable for millions and millions of Americans. This happened during a Democrat administration.
People watching.
And it's when we first began hearing the word affordability.
On the X platform
alone. Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people, many who came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again. We had men playing in women's sports, transgender for everybody, crime at record levels with law enforcement, and words such as that just absolutely forbidden. We had the worst trade deals ever made, and our country was laughed at from all over the world. But they're not laughing anymore. Over the past 11 months, we have brought more positive change to Washington than any administration in American history. There's never been anything like it, and I think most would agree. I was elected in a landslide, winning the popular vote
busy year for
and all
Trump
7 swing states and everything else, with a mandate to take on a sick and corrupt system that really just took the wealth from people and crushed the dreams of the American people. For the last 4 years, the United States was ruled by politicians who fought only for insiders, illegal aliens, career criminals, corporate lobbyists, prisoners, terrorists, and above all, foreign nations, which took advantage of us at levels never seen before. They flooded your cities and towns with illegal aliens. They decimated your hard-earned savings. They indoctrinated your children with hate for America. They did. I mean, they just released a level of violent felons that we had never seen to prey on innocent. They caused war. They caused mayhem. They caused a horrible situation all over the globe. But now
demonizing
you have a president who fights for the law-abiding, hardworking people of our country, the ones who make this nation run, who make this nation work. And after just 1 year, we have achieved more than anyone could have imagined. Starting on day one, I took immediate action to stop the invasion of our southern border. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed into our country, a feat which everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed Congress to pass legislation to help close the border? He was always blaming Congress and everyone else. As it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. In other words, in a few short months, we went from worst to best. We're deporting criminals, restoring safety to our most dangerous cities. Just take a look at Washington, D.C. It's at levels of safety that we've never seen before. And they decimated the bloodthirsty foreign drug cartels. We did that all by ourselves with our people. Make it even safer. And we're so proud of it because they were poisoning and destroying our population. Drugs brought in by ocean and by sea are now down 94%. We have broken the grip of sinister woke radicals in our schools, and control over those schools is back now in the hands of our great and loving states where education belongs. After rebuilding the United States military in my first term, and with the addition we are adding right now, we have the most powerful military anywhere in the world, and it's not even close. I've restored American strength, settled 8 wars in 10 months, destroyed the Iran nuclear threat, and
military's
ended the
budget
war
was
in
passed
Gaza,
for next year $900 billion.
3,000 years, peace to the Middle East, and secured the release of the hostages, both living and dead. Here at home, we're bringing our economy back from the brink of ruin. The last administration and their allies in Congress looted our treasury for trillions of dollars, driving up prices and everything at levels never seen before. I am bringing those high prices down and bringing them down very fast. Let's look at the facts. Under the Biden administration,
the inflation rate right now is at 3%.
Prices rose 22%,
under
and in many states 30% or more. Gasoline rose 30 to 50%. Hotel rates rose 37%. Airfares rose 31%. Now, under our leadership, they are all coming down and coming down fast. Democrat politicians also sent the cost of groceries soaring, but we are solving that too.
Come on, White House, you're cutting it off.
The price of a Thanksgiving turkey was
down
down 33% compared to the Biden
chicken,
last
ham,
year.
breakfast,
the price of eggs is down
cereal,
82% since March, and everything else is falling rapidly. And it's not done yet, but boy, are we making progress. Nobody can believe what's going on. Here are just some of the efforts that we have underway. You will see in your wallets and bank accounts in the new year. After years of record-setting falling incomes, our policies are boosting take-home pay at a historic pace. Under Biden, real wages plummeted by $3,000. Under Trump, the typical factory worker has seen a wage increase of $1,300. For
that doesn't even factor inflation on top of all that.
$1,800. For miners, we're bringing back clean, beautiful coal. It's $3,000.
Well, rare earth minerals, man.
And for the first time,
open all that up now.
Wages are rising much faster than inflation. Remember that. The wages, just look at it. Wages are going up much faster than inflation. How big is that? Very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history, and 100% of all jobs created since I took office have been in the private sector. Think of that. 100% of all jobs have been in the private sector rather than government, which is the only way to make a country powerful and great. This historic trend will continue. Already, I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wage increases, growth, factory openings, and far greater national security. Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been used successfully by other countries.
Still waiting on those prices to skyrocket, Democrats.
But not anymore. Companies know that if they build in America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record numbers. They're building factories and plants at levels we haven't seen, AI, automobiles. We're doing what nobody thought was even possible, not even remotely possible. There has never, frankly, been anything like it. 1 year ago, our country was dead. We were absolutely dead. Our country was ready to fail, totally failed. Now, we're the hottest country anywhere in the world, and that's said by every single leader that I've spoken to over the last 5 months. Next year, you will also see the results of the largest tax cuts in American history that were really accomplished through our great, big, beautiful bill, perhaps the most sweeping legislation ever passed in Congress. We wrapped 12 different bills up into one beautiful bill. That includes no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors. Under these cuts, many families will be saving between $11,000 and $20,000 a year, and next spring is projected to be the largest tax refund season of all time. Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that.
There you go.
And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody. And by the way, we now have record enlistment in our military, and last year we had among the worst recruitment numbers in our military's history.
Yeah.
What a difference a year makes. In addition, I'm doing what no politician of
you know what? The recruitment was so bad that they were lowering the standards. They were lowering the standards and allowing people to get into the military that had no business even signing up. Those who were morbidly obese or had pre-existing conditions, chronic conditions.
The party has ever done, standing up to the special interests to dramatically reduce the price of prescription drugs. I negotiated directly with the drug companies and foreign nations, which were taking advantage of our country for many decades, to slash prices on drugs and pharmaceuticals by as much as 400, 500, and even 600%. In other words, your drug costs will be plummeting downward, and I used the threat of tariffs to get foreign countries who would never have done it to pay the cost of this giant dollar reduction. They stopped ripping us off, and it began as of 4 days ago. There has never been anything like this in the history of our country. Drugs have only gone up, but now they'll be going down by numbers never conceived possible. It's called Most Favored Nation, and no president has ever had the courage or ability to get this done until now. The first of these unprecedented
because he wasn't taking money from Big Pharma for years.
Starting in January through a new website, TrumpRx.gov.
TrumpRx.
And these big price cuts will greatly reduce the cost of health care. I'm also taking on the gigantic health insurance companies that have gotten rich on billions of dollars of money that should go directly to the people. The money should go to the people. That's you. So they can buy their own health insurance, which will give far better benefits at much lower costs. It will be far better health insurance. The current Unaffordable Care Act was created to make insurance companies rich. It was bad health care at much too high a cost, and you see that now in the steep increase in premiums being demanded by the Democrats, and they are demanding those increases.
Oh, they are.
It's their fault.
Come hell or high water, they're demanding it.
Fault. It's the Democrats' fault.
It's
the Unaffordable
It's called
Care
Obamacare.
Act. Everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care. You'll get much better health care at a much lower price. The only losers will be insurance companies that have gotten rich, and the Democrat Party, which is totally controlled by those same insurance companies. They will not be happy, but that's okay with me because you, the people, are finally going to be getting great health care at a lower cost. Another major focus is the cost of energy. For years, the radical left Democrats exploited
renewable
the green
energy
scam as an excuse to funnel many billions of dollars into their own massive slush funds as their energy restrictions drastically drove up prices, and they drove them up at record levels. Electricity costs surged 30 to 100% under Biden, and the typical family lost $5,000 to $10,000 in higher energy costs. Think of that, $5,000 to $10,000 you lost. On day one, I declared a national energy emergency.
There it is, $1.79 gas.
Is now under $2.50 a gallon in much of the country. In some states, it, by the way, just hit $1.99 a gallon. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, a record, and it's a record that won't be beaten by practically, I would say, by anybody, or certainly not very soon. Prices on electricity and everything else will fall dramatically. The Democrat inflation disaster, again, the worst in the history of our country, also robbed millions of Americans of home ownership and indeed the American dream. The yearly cost of a typical new mortgage increased by $15,000 under Democrat rule.
Yeah, that's annual mortgage
payments. In 11 months, we've already gotten that annual cost down by $3,000, and it's coming down a lot lower. Wait till you see. The numbers are going to be shocking. And I'll soon announce our next chairman of the Federal Reserve, someone who believes in lower interest rates by a lot, and mortgage payments will be coming down even further. Early the new year, and you will see this, in the new year I will announce some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history. A major factor in driving up housing costs was the colossal border invasion. We have never been invaded. This is the worst thing that, frankly, in my opinion, the worst thing that the Biden administration did to our country is the invasion at the border. The last administration and their allies in Congress brought in millions and millions of migrants and gave them taxpayer-funded housing,
a lot of criminals
while your rent and housing costs skyrocketed.
Yes,
Over
it did.
60% of growth in the rental market came from foreign migrants.
It did.
At the same time, illegal aliens stole American jobs and flooded emergency rooms, getting free health care and education paid
and
for
welfare
by
benefits.
you, the American taxpayer. They also increased the cost of law enforcement by numbers so high that they are not even to be mentioned. For the first time in 50 years, we are now seeing reverse migration as migrants go back home, leaving more housing and more jobs for Americans.
2.5 million this year left.
In the year before my election, all net creation of jobs was going to foreign migrants. Since I took office, 100% of all net job creation has gone to American-born citizens, 100%. In the end, government either serves the productive, patriotic, hardworking American citizen, or it serves those who break the laws, cheat the system, and seek power and profit at the expense of our nation. Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so
at least
long
$1 billion.
as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But not anymore, and you see that every day, not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again. Very simple. We are making America great again.
Hallelujah.
Tonight, after 11 months, our border is secure. Inflation is stopped. Wages are up. Prices are down.
Well, it's
our
down to
nation
3%.
is strong.
It's a lot better than where it
America
was.
is respected, and our country is back, stronger than ever before. We're poised for an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen. Soon we will host the World Cup and the Olympics, both of which I got.
That's coming.
But most importantly, we will celebrate the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. There could be no more fitting tribute to this epic milestone than to complete the comeback of America that began just 1 year ago. When the world looks at us next year, let them see a nation that is loyal to its citizens, faithful to its workers, confident to its identity, certain to its destiny, and the envy of the entire globe. We are respected again like we have never been respected before. To each and every one of you, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. God bless you all.
Wow, man. Well, that was a hell of a speech. And pretty good timing also. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't go too long, but that was just the right amount of time. Housing reform plans in the new year, I definitely took that away. I'm definitely looking forward to that. The numbers on immigration, 2.5 million have self-deported and have been forcefully deported by ICE. Inflation is down to 3%, so a lot of good things happening. The military getting $1,776 from with a Christmas bonus, courtesy of the federal government and the Trump administration. That's incredible news. Very good all around. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect. I didn't want to do too much digging, not that there was probably much information with regard to his speech. I was expecting him to announce something with regard to Venezuela, that he was going to announce that we were going to start sending the military, because he already announced that our Navy has surrounded Venezuela, at least the ocean half of it, or the Caribbean Sea part of it. So he didn't announce anything on that, just the fact that he's ended multiple wars across the world. And I didn't hear him say anything with regard to Venezuela. So anyway, it was a great speech. Really glad to have tuned in for that. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have enough time to roll through everything, so I'm going to try to get through everything quick. If I come across any articles, most likely I'll just link it, and those will all be down in the description. So I'm just going to roll straight to Senator Eric Schmidt as Missouri AG. I sued China for unleashing the COVID pandemic and hoarding PPE. Both things China very much did. And now they are targeting me in a $50 billion lawfare campaign because they're mad that I won. But I'm from the show me state. I will not apologize and will not back down. Bring it on. And I'm sure he's got this linked. Yeah, he does. So that, of course, will be linked. And let me just double check. So it's at foxnews.com/media/Sen Schmidt. I know down in the description, it doesn't show you the entirety of the link. It only shows you like the first 100 characters of it or something like that. But it's going to be Sen-Schmidt if you want to have a look at that. And I'm going to head on to the next thing. From Caroline Levitt, Fetterman makes a lot of sense to seize and block sanctioned tankers. Now, I will read at least the first paragraph or so because there's not anything in that post that I can take away from. So Fetterman says, makes a lot of sense to seize and block sanctioned tankers. Iran and China, Russia are now involved. And actually, it looks like they've got it. Oh, okay, so no, this is going to be way too long.
For a straight take on the reality and his rationale. Senator, Democrat, Pennsylvania, John Fetterman. Good to see you, sir.
All right, I'll play just a couple of minutes of it.
Good. Oh, you're always welcome. So, two quick things. Start with the health care because it matters most. Do you believe that the Republicans are willing to allow these to expire?
I mean, right now, that's what's going to happen. I mean, Leader Thune announced that there's definitely not going to be a vote in December. You know, he described that there might be a potential path, but that's going to be in January, and I don't know.
Okay, so it looks like they're going to talk about the healthcare issue. Then they go on about the GOP healthcare plan for a few minutes. Then they talk about battling Jasmine Crockett for the Senate, which is happening in Texas because she announced that she's running for Senate. And then he also gets into Venezuela with the boat attacks. And what else do we got from this conversation? Is that the rest that they've got? Okay, Senator Fetterman. Let's see. Okay, yeah, so the House votes tomorrow on the plan. So this conversation was yesterday. So let me jump to right about here, which looks like that's where they
declined to take it and to move on those things. When they move on those kinetic kinds of strikes, you know, they have absolute confidence that who's on it and what's on it, and that's exactly what it's about. They're not just going around randomly just shooting boats and those things. That's just not the fact at all.
So we heard from the president today. He kind of expanded the circle here and said it's not just about drugs, it's about oil. And they are the whole regime, the whole country.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what to make of that.
Is a foreign terror organization, a total and complete blockade of all sanctioned oil tankers.
Yeah, because like in Trump's post, which he'll probably show here in a second, he said that like oil that rightfully belongs to the U.S. or something like that. But I mean, if it's sanctioned oil, it's sanctioned oil. So you know they've got. If they've sanctioned it, then yeah, of course they're going to work on blocking it from going to other countries so Venezuela can profit from it. But as far as he's not going to put it on the screen.
Yeah, well, what makes it that Iran is involved on that, and Russia's involved on that, and China as well too. I mean, a lot of these things. I mean, that's sanctioned oil right now, and those are the kinds of funds that support regions like in Iran as well too. And now, absolutely.
Okay, all right. So let me go ahead and move on to this article. Of course, I'm going to link this in Tuesday's broadcast. He stated that the blocking and seizing of sanctioned oil tankers around Venezuela makes a lot of sense, and sanctioned oil is helping countries like Iran and China and Russia are involved with the illicit oil trade as well. So we heard from the president today, expanded the circle and said it's not just about drugs, it's about oil, and they are a terror, the whole regime, with regard to the oil. And he said Iran is involved on that and Russia involved on that and China as well too. A lot of those things, it's sanctioned oil right now. And those are the kinds of things that funds that support regions like in Iran as well too. So basically funding terrorism with oil that they're selling to other countries. And U.S. is trying to put a stop to that. That's why we sanction the oil from Venezuela. And C-SPAN, Senator Eric Schmidt on boat strikes. Right now, the focus is to blow the boats that are killing Americans out of the water. And I'm going to repost that since that's kind of a lengthy video. We'll roll on to the White House. Jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride on a free flight out of the country. I'm not going to be singing that, but I'll play the
video. Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
Back to the places from which they came.
Oh, what fun it is to ride.
A free flight out of our country.
Jingle bells, jingle all the way.
To any foreign country, as long as it's not here.
Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Dashing through
all right, man. That was from the White House. There you go. All right, Homeland Security. Surely Governor Pritzker isn't using peacefully protect as a euphemism for attacking our officers with rocks, cars, and obstructing law enforcement operations. DHS law enforcement is achieving what Chicago's sanctuary politicians have refused to do for decades, remove the worst of the worst criminal illegal aliens who put the American people in danger. And Governor J.B. Pritzker says this isn't enforcement, this is harassment. They've grabbed people off the street for how they look, separated families, and scarred communities with masked agents with guns. I encourage everyone to do as they have, peacefully protect your neighborhoods and neighbors. And he's posting Block Club Chicago. Border Patrol boss Greg Bovino is back in Chicago as agents target the Southwest side. Okay, so that happened. Anyway, there's a direct link to my profile in the description below, my X account, and you can view anything that I happen to repost in this episode. It'll be there. Okay, so Treasury Department, 10 hours ago. Today, Treasury's Office of Foreign Assets Control sanctioned the violent Cartel de Santa Rosa de Lima, which derives the vast majority of its illicit revenue from fuel and oil theft. This cartel enables a cross-border energy black market and undermines legitimate U.S. oil and natural gas companies. And from Homeland Security, short answer, because you assaulted law enforcement. So this headline reads from the Houston Chronicle, I'm a citizen. ICE wrongfully detained me. So why can't I sue? Well, because you assaulted law enforcement, you idiot. So on July 10th at a marijuana facility in Camarillo, California, Jorge Reitz, a U.S. citizen, became violent and refused to comply with law enforcement. He blocked their route and refused to move his vehicle out of the road, which is obstruction. CBP arrested Reitz for assault. U.S. citizens are not wrongfully being arrested by DHS law enforcement. If a U.S. citizen is arrested, it is because they've obstructed or assaulted law enforcement. And from Rapid Response 47, Ilhan Omar caught in a lie about her son being profiled by ICE. She says ICE has been known to lie, though. So says the woman who lied about her marriage to her brother. So we'll give this a watch from CNN.
The Department of Homeland Security says, and I'm quoting them, ICE has absolutely zero record,
which I read on yesterday's show,
officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son, and have accused you of seeking to, quote, demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt. Their words. What do you say to that?
Well, if ICE is saying
They're
that
just
they
lying.
have documentation of every single person that they have pulled over in Minneapolis, we would.
No, we're talking about your son, asshole.
Because we've certainly, myself and the governor, have been asking them to share information with us on the ways in which they have interacted with Minnesotans, and they have not been able to provide a single
I'm sure that's a lie,
so
too.
it is amazing that they're able to put out this statement in saying definitely that they did not pull my son over.
Well, they didn't. Otherwise, you would have said it's a flat-out lie.
ICE has been known to lie.
So she's fluffing this up with a bunch of bullshit.
Their enforcement.
I know.
Yeah, whatever, lady. You're full of shit. I mean, it would have been quite obvious if they did indeed pull over her son, because she would have been a lot more angry and emotional. They absolutely did. I have proof. I've got dash cam footage because my son drives a brand new $100,000 vehicle and it's got cameras all over the place. All right, so Homeland Security, this is the post that I read yesterday. ICE has absolutely zero record of its officers or agents pulling over Congresswoman Omar's son. With no evidence, it is shameful that Congresswoman Omar would level accusations to demonize ICE as part of a PR stunt. Allegations that ICE engages in racial profiling are disgusting, reckless, and categorically false. What makes someone a target for immigration enforcement is if they are illegally in the U.S., not their skin color, race, or ethnicity. Under the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution, DHS law enforcement uses reasonable suspicion to make arrests. And we'll head on to the next thing, ATF HQ, in case you missed it. After an ATF Seattle and FBI investigation, a Portland, Oregon man pleaded guilty to arson at the ICE facility in South Portland. On June 11th of this year, Trenton Edward Barker, age 34, lit a flare and threw it into debris, causing the fire to start. And he pleaded guilty to arson. And that also will be down below in the description from justice.gov. So, oh yeah, you have to click the I'm not a robot, and it will direct you to the article. Okay, Tom Emmer. Walz had 7 years to address and stop the fraud. That's Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota he's talking about. It wasn't until the president made this a national issue that Walz started to pretend he cares about his constituents' tax money supporting terrorists in Somalia. Our dishonest, failed governor will answer for his complete incompetence.
Which brings me to addressing the failure of my governor, Tim Walz. We anxiously await Tim Walz's response to House Oversight Committee Chairman Jamie Comer regarding what
drag
he
his ass in, man.
About the $1 billion in fraud.
They better drag his ass in.
7 years to address and stop the fraud.
7 years.
It wasn't until President Trump made this a national issue that Walz started to pretend that he cares about his constituents' tax dollars supporting a terrorist group in Somalia. Accountability is coming, Governor. Our dishonest, failed governor must and will answer for his complete incompetence.
Yeah, it sounds like they are going to hopefully subpoena him to speak before the committee. And National Security Division, U.S. Department of Justice, engineer sentenced to 10 years in prison for bombings of PG&E transformers, causing property damage and widespread power outages. That will be linked. And from CBP, DFO Chicago, who is this Director of Field Operations at Chicago, CBP, Customs and Border Patrol, Chicago Field Office, alongside the U.S. FDA officers in Ohio, seized a total of 398 shipments containing a total of 8,521 pairs of undeclared or misdeclared contact lenses, valued over $407,000 had they been legally imported. As counterfeit goods move into the online marketplace, we continue to be diligent in protecting American consumers. Even contact lenses, man. They got to be seizing all kinds of stuff, man. I'm sure it came out of China. I wouldn't be surprised. All right, General Chance Stoltzman kicking off the Space Force's 6th birthday week with a great conversation. Thanks to Air Force grads for the opportunity to talk about Guardians and our mission. Watch the full interview here. And, of course, as I said before, it's going to be linked just like everything else. So we'll take a look at this.
The States has come to recognize its advantages in space. It's just become an indispensable force multiplier for the joint force, and any modern warfare is going to be heavily dependent on space capabilities. Well, I think in a word, the threat landscape since I took over as CSO has advanced dramatically. The actual work of defending our assets on orbit starts with understanding the environment. We have sensors that are positioned globally. We have operators that task those sensors to make sure that we're tracking almost 25,000 objects that are on orbit that we're paying attention to, and another 40,000 objects when you start thinking about the debris and things like that. So we have to understand the threats, man-made threats as well as adversary threats. And then second is understanding what the current environment looks like so you can rapidly identify if there is aggressive, irresponsible behavior. Is there a launch that could threaten? We're always watching for launches. Is there RF jamming on orbit? What are the indications? Rapidly seeing them, trying to mitigate those effects. And so constantly being on watch is what it really looks like. You know, the operators in the op centers 24/7, every day of the week, every minute of the day, watching, trying to make sure they understand how the systems are operating, and if there's any adversaries trying to deny those effects, that we can respond to them. You know, all of our challenges are opportunities, so it's easy to list the challenges sometimes, but our opportunities are quite frankly centered around the fact that the Joint Force understands how critical space is to how they do their jobs, and that presents an opportunity. As missions continue to be given to the Space Force, as we migrate more and more missions from land, air, and sea up into space, these are tremendous opportunities for us to continue to integrate, continue to provide the Joint Force what they need to be successful.
All righty. And again, the full interview will be linked below. And yeah, man, 40,000 objects in space. That is a lot to keep track of. Plus all the launches happening all around the world. I'm sure it's a huge endeavor. Secretary Sean Duffy, the future of flight is upon us. Tune in at 2:30 p.m. Eastern to hear how the U.S. Department of Transportation is unveiling the nation's first advanced mobility strategy. And let me see. It's holy moly, that was loud. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and repost that. It's about 45 minutes, probably not in its entirety. Oh, well, maybe it is. No, so probably about 36, 37 minutes. So that'll be below if you want to check that out. Or it'll be linked in my profile if you want to check that out. Link to my profile in the description. So from the White House, Trump accounts are providing a jump start on the American dream. According to the Council of Economic Advisors, a Trump account could grow to over $1 million in 28 years. That is a lot. Trump account balance at age 28 for a 2026 born baby. Max contributions with an average U.S. stock market returns. And I believe that a baby that's born under this program, they're given $1,000. I believe that's what the amount is. $1,000 to every baby born for like the next 26 million babies or something like that. It's a long-term program that oh man, what's his name? Michael Dell, is that his name? The guy that runs Dell. He and his wife contributed to like $6 or $7 billion to this program, and they're given $1,000, which the program allows for the parents to contribute a small amount monthly to their account. You know, I don't know if it's like a 401k style account, not sure, but according to this post from the White House, that if the parents contribute the maximum, then it'll balloon up to over $1 million over 28 years, that'd be a hell of a good head start, man. All right, BLS labor statistics. 18 states had unemployment rate increases from September 2024 to September 2025. So there's a little bit of pushback going on. I mean, I know Trump is saying that unemployment is down. The job numbers are incredible. They're going up. But according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, there's some states, looks like quite obviously the blue states, are seeing higher numbers of unemployment. Doesn't mean the country in total, but it says the U.S. unemployment rate right now is sitting at 4.4%. My guess is that there's probably people leaving these states, probably moving to red states. That would be my assumption. And USGS, a magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck between the Hubbard Glacier and the St. Elias Mountains at 11:40 a.m. Alaska Standard Time on December 6, 2025. Early remote sensing results confirm hundreds of landslides and snow avalanches were triggered in the region. No injuries or fatalities have been reported due to the remote location. This GIF shows before and after radar images highlighting changes in surface roughness caused by the quake. The dots mark USGS's preliminary mapping of potential landslides and avalanches. The red is going to be probable larger landslides, yellow probable smaller landslides or snow avalanches, and the blue is other increases in surface roughness of unknown origin. And they have a link to more information also. So let's take a look at this. So it's before and after, so 11:28 and then 12:09. So yeah, like all of that. Yeah, so you see like everything that lit up in like the lighter shade of gray. That's all snow that came down off the mountains. And that's like all over the place, man. Like you can even see up here, like down in the bottom left corner, you see like that peak, it's smaller now because a lot of the snow just slid down the mountain. Wow, man, that's wild. That would have been incredible to have been there and seen that. All right, NRO, speed pushes, gravity pulls. Somewhere in between lies the perfect balance that keeps satellites from falling to Earth. It's a constant dance between force and momentum, and it is what keeps our satellites in orbit. Yeah, this is short enough. I can go ahead and play this.
Gravity versus speed. If gravity pulls everything down, why don't satellites fall?
It's all about speed. Satellites are in a constant battle between Earth's gravity pulling them in and their momentum pushing them forward. The perfect balance creates orbit. So
That it does.
Instead of falling, they keep circling the
Trajectory,
Earth.
right?
Gravity keeps them in check, but speed keeps them in orbit. Physics
Stable
is
orbit.
pretty cool.
Space is pretty cool, man. Space is really cool. All right. And then finally, I've got this from NASA. I don't think I'm going to be able to play it. Oh, yeah, I can. Okay, good. It's only 27 seconds. So anyway, it says, what it's like to float through the International Space Station. Come take a guided tour with us. Okay, so this is going to be the longer video. And then they just gave a short clip here, 27 seconds. So you get a little taste of what the video's about. Yeah, all right, man. Space, the space station, all that good fun stuff floating around in the space station. In orbit. You see how those the two, they connect? Yeah, those two posts, they connect to each other. Yeah, all right. So anyway, that's going to be it. Sorry I had to railroad through real quick. I had to keep this video as close to an hour and a half as possible because I'm about to watch the first episode of the new season of Stranger Things. So my daughter and I are about to watch that, and that's to eat some pizza. So I couldn't keep the episode going for too long. Wasn't sure how long Trump's speech was going to go, but anyway, it was short enough. It was pretty good. So I should be at a more steady speed tomorrow. This was the first time that I structured my show around Trump's speech, so I wasn't honestly sure how long it would go, and at the same time, having a planned engagement after the episode. Wasn't sure how many posts to put together for this episode, but I think I got like 35 or so. The last several episodes, I've put together like 60 plus posts in total for the show. So anyway, if you like the video, please give the video a quick like and subscribe to the channel. It'll mean a lot to me if you do subscribe, and I will be dropping a new show every evening, Monday through Friday, covering the swamp and everyone in it, politicians, bureaucrats, agencies, everything in the swamp. And I also post daily episodes on X, so you can comment or watch over there too if you'd like. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your night, and God bless America.